How dare. How dare you? Hey, what's up, guys? How you doing? Yeah, apparently, Cool's mic isn't coming through, so we're having some technical issues. Okay, there we go.
Okay, can you guys hear me now? Yeah.
I'm waiting for my delay.
I think I'm good. It's showing up on my side.
Yeah, I can hear it on the screen. So we're good.
I apologize. Welcome to the podcast. It's not a podcast if we don't have something that's scuffed, right? I am Kula, and I am joined by my ever awesome host Gibbles, and we have some great news. We feel like I don't know if you guys noticed, we're moving to a every other week schedule. We are finding that this is probably going to be better. We're not seeing a lot of news that's enough to do a full podcast episode after a week, so we're just running with a 2-week schedule because it just makes more sense that way.
I mean, if we wanted to be like dumb drama people, then we could do it every week, but
yeah. We're not really trying to do the dumb drama. We're trying to do meaningful episodes here. So we had a lot of good stuff for this week to talk about. Some old stuff we're gonna rehash a little bit, but overall, I think it's gonna be a great episode. So I'll jump right into it. So we're gonna talk about the craziness that was the Helldivers situation. Man, that went south really, really fast.
Yeah.
So for those who aren't aware, which at this point you probably have heard it through different avenues, but Sony decided to try to enforce a PlayStation Network requirement to play Helldivers. This is also when they were also allowing people who didn't have PlayStation Network access to purchase the game. So that caused a lot of issue for those saying, hey, like, I bought the game, my country doesn't do PlayStation Network, what am I supposed to do? To that response, they cut anybody's access from those countries. That was their immediate response. And yeah, overwhelmingly over the course of 3 days, they got over 200,000 negative reviews, and ended up backtracking. Now, they have backtracked on the PlayStation Network requirement, but they have not backtracked on the country lockout. So if you...
So from what I understood, I saw this, I'm not...
What is going... Did you mute yourself in the source? It was literally working just a second ago. What? Hold on, guys. He'll be right back. He's working on it.
There we go.
So they did block the countries before they backtracked. It was country locked before they backtracked, because that was their kind of response. And the refunds I was hearing that they were issuing were those who were in countries that were not being supported by PlayStation Network. Those were the ones that were being accepted refunds, because they physically could not play the game if PlayStation went through with what they were trying to do. But as it stands right now, there are a lot of people who are saying, hey, my review stands until you bring back the country unlock. They have not done that yet. They are keeping that lock in place. Yeah, we'll see what that means, but it does, like, somebody designed a Helldivers cape for the cause of, like, getting Sony to back down.
It was the CEO of the company, because he saw the dislike bar, and he's like, hey, this is like a cool cape, and then they made it into a cape.
Yeah, they made it into a cape, and it's actually getting
stuff.
released. It's getting released in the near future. Now, I've heard a lot of streamers say that if they tie the PlayStation Network to a reward, like the PlayStation Network not requirement, but the PlayStation Network thing to a reward, that more of them will do it, and they're not going to make a big deal about it.
That's one I've been seeing on, like, Asmon's stream. He's been touting that, like, constantly.
And so that's something I've heard as well.
Yeah, because I mean, like, it makes sense, because, like, a lot of times, like, there are all these other services where you need to link an account, but you don't need to a lot of the time. But if you do, you get access to, like, free in-game cosmetics or something like that, right?
Yeah, and like, that's really how it should be.
Yeah, like, I think it's the Ubisoft one specifically, and in a lot of the games, you get extras based on the other games that you've bought. Right, like if you've bought
or achievements that you've gotten, you get points towards those achievements that can get, like, you like vanity cells, things in the game. Yeah,
like you'll get, like, a Splinter Cell, like, logo in an Assassin's Creed game because you owned the Splinter Cell, like, blacklist something.
Yeah. I honestly think that if this had come out at launch, it wouldn't have been a big problem. I think there would have been people who wouldn't have bought it, but they wouldn't have had room to be able to give a bad review, and those who would have just not cared and bought it and pushed it through. I do think that this type of thing is helpful to developers and companies to being able to link for crossplay. I think it does make things a little bit easier having a centralized account across the board. So I stand on that piece of, like, making a big deal about using PlayStation Network for those who have access to PlayStation Network and can play it. That I think isn't that big of a deal. I understand the concept of, like, that it was 4 months after release. That's not great. It's not a great look for them. And I understand that, like, Steam was selling the game to countries that were not being supported by PlayStation. So that also I understand as well. But it definitely not a good look for Sony. And I know they backtracked on it, and I know the developer kind of threw Sony under the bus on that, so I don't know what repercussions that's going to bring for Sony.
I mean, to be honest, it's all Sony on this, really.
Yeah.
I will say, like, the developer did some kind of, like, underhanded a little bit. They were kind of, like, trying to skirt away, like, hey, maybe you won't come back at us with this because we turned it off because there was some server problems, so then, like, maybe 6 months later you won't do anything. Like, that's on the dev. The dev did that was dumb of the dev team to do that. But the main problem and the root of it and taking it off of the market for certain countries, that's all Sony, which is really sad because they were doing so well.
Yeah, it was doing very well. But yeah, so it's definitely a not a good look. But Gibbles, you've been playing a little bit of Hades 2 lately, huh?
I played it once.
All right. Well, I mean, still a little bit. I saw Cal was playing it for a little bit as well.
I beat the first boss, and I have been sitting next to my spouse playing it nonstop. So I do know quite a bit the stuff about it. And it looks really good.
Looks good. Yeah.
Definitely, if you've played the first game, the playstyle is, like, I guess, like, the core of the playstyle is still the same, but there's some new it's the sequel, right? It feels like how, like, old games, right? You got the sequel, and then, like, some, like, major mechanic changed kind of thing, or was added on top. Like, they don't really do that too much anymore. But that's definitely something they added. They added in a secondary route you can go, which is really cool. I think that's a really, really cool idea. And then they added like a spell charge up mechanic, which is also a really cool. It adds a lot of different ways to play. Because now there's resource management in the game now. because
Right.
before it was just your health. If you had like the like if you set up special runs, you had like timed runs, so you might have to manage your time and your health. But now it's there's a mana system on top of it. So in certain boons, certain rewards can reduce the amount of mana you have, give you mana regen. It's some if you go a certain build, it's better to have literally like 0 mana and just eat it all away, and you get a bunch of bonuses for it. And then some builds is great to just try and max it out as much as possible and don't take any rewards that eat away at it. It's a really cool system.
Yeah, it looks like they really took a good amount of time to try to like perfect it and get it going. And I've seen a lot of people playing it that really like it, or really enjoying it. So yeah, it's definitely that's something to look forward to. I'm gonna wait until it comes out on Switch. I know it might be a while, but
Yeah, well, this is the early access. So like,
Right.
there's also a lot of artwork that is incomplete. There's like bits of like some story that's incomplete. We probably don't have all of the gods yet. There are some placeholder images. Like if you go talk to specific people, they look like some like random person with like drapes over them. That's a placeholder image.
Yep.
Because every single person has that. So the artwork is completely not done for them. While some of the other gods, there's artwork there, but you can tell that it's not a complete artwork.
Yeah. But yeah, so I'm interested to see how it finalizes up and and becomes more whole on that front. Yeah, 14 dealing with some DDoS attacks in the last little bit, huh? I mean,
Yeah, I think it was just I didn't really look too much into this, but I know they were claiming they were getting some DDoS attacks. I mean, to be honest, they're like always getting DDoS attacks, and
it's true.
especially near major releases.
Yep.
But apparently 18 hours ago, it still says continues to get hit by DDoS attacks nonstop. So if you're having some problems with network difficulties, it's been some nonstop DDoSing attacks for like a few weeks now.
Yeah, I didn't have any problems getting in today. I jumped on to check my houses and grab my pre-order bonus. Finally got my pre-order in today, so that was definitely. I was like getting to the end of the wire where I was like, oh shoot, am I gonna get this in time? But definitely got it in today, and so I'm good to go. And then blue mages just wrecking yokai events, making it hard to get those fates done.
I've been hearing some like really mixed thing about it. Like some people are just like, yeah, I can level my blue mage, and it gives me a good amount of time. And I've heard some people like leveled their warrior up from like 1 to like 90 just with the yokai event.
It's a lot of fates you got to get all the stuff. So
yeah. But what was it? Another big Final Fantasy news is that Thursday is the next live letter, and we're hopefully getting the show details, job information. That's confirmed on the lodestone right now. So hopefully we're gonna get a new the job video showcases.
Yeah, that'll be great. I'm interested to see if they're gonna do the logos for the new classes, the jobstone and the logos for the new classes.
I wonder if like the painters or the pictomancer is gonna be like just like a brush, or like the palette, kind of thing. Because I could see it being the palette really easily.
I could see it being like a palette with a brush over the top of it.
Yeah. And then Viper. I mean, was there a symbol for Viper in 12?
I don't know.
Was like a symbol attached to it? Otherwise, I mean, I could just see like 2 blades or like the dual blades being showcased on it.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they showcase it. Let's see. We've got so this has kind of been a big one that's been kind of in the works for a bit. Apple has now kind of changed the way the App Store regulations are because of pressure from the US and the EU. So you're seeing emulators coming into the App Store because they're not taking a cut, and they're kind of loosening those ties a little bit. This is an interesting piece, just given that the fact that like Apple's always been like very touty about how clean their app store is of like all the junk and bullshit. It's interesting to see that we're like pretty quickly seeing some iOS emulators popping in into their software. So it's definitely going to be
Yeah.
a different piece
this
on
guy
here.
who he created the GBA for iOS. It was a Game Boy for iOS. He created it years ago when he was in high school. And it just got taken down. He couldn't keep it up, and so he ended up developing a Game Boy on his freaking the Texas Instruments, his graphing calculator, and
It's awesome.
continued working on emulation through that way. And then once he hit college, he was like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna make this app," and then created his own side-loading app store that was able to be like loaded onto iPhones and stuff like that. In order to sideload his own the GBA for iOS application, so that way the emulator could go on iOS. But and he's been like actively fighting the App Store and iOS for a few years now, trying to get like the side loading going and different things like that. But now that it's his app is now allowed on the actual Apple Store. I think it was the number one downloaded application.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, it was huge. I'm trying to remember the name of it.
Does not surprise me.
Yeah, well, and now there's a bunch of news about a PS1 emulator as well, called Gamma. So apparently, emulators are having a really, really big boom. Oh, Delta is the name of the 10 years in the making retro game emulator. Delta is now number one on the iOS charts. So it's Delta's the Game Boy emulator that was put on it, and then they're also looking at putting some people, I think it's called Dolphin. They're looking at putting a GameCube/Wii emulator also on it, which is a lot of emulation is starting to get pushed onto phones right now, especially with the Apple loosening up.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how far people take it, like how much it can handle from a hardware perspective.
I mean, I think the phone could definitely handle everything up to the like PS3 360 era pretty handily. GameCube, Wii, maybe. PS2, I could definitely see it being able to handle all that.
Yeah.
Original Xbox, maybe. It depends on the game, because I think it was like it was Elder Scrolls, not Skyrim, Oblivion. That every single time there was a loading screen, it restarted your Xbox because to save system memory. So I don't know how that would translate very well.
I don't know.
Yeah. So speaking of Bethesda, though,
some big layoffs. And quite a bit of criticism coming from some of these layoffs. So let's see, Tango Gameworks, which is responsible for Hi-Fi Rush, Ghostwire Tokyo, and The Evil Within, got shut down. So off the back of Hi-Fi Rush being a very popular and very well done game, it's being shut down. Arcane Austin, the maker of Prey and Redfall, they got shut down as well. Alpha Dog Games maker Mighty Doom got shut down, and Mighty Doom is being pushed over to the team that's doing Blades, whatever it is, Oblivion Blades or Skyrim Blades or whatever it is. And then Roundhouse Studios, who also supported Redfall, is being shut down. The biggest one right now that people are making a lot of comments about is the Tango Gameworks one. The Tango Gameworks one is the biggest studio that they're shutting down that's been very, very popular.
It's
That
really Hi-Fi Rush.
Yeah, Hi-Fi Rush, the Evil Within series was very well done. A lot of people really like Ghostwire. So it's been interesting to see that I think Alana Pierce made a comment about it being like it doesn't matter how popular your games are, they're looking towards like a multiplayer live support
So
style of game.
I watched that and I saw that and I think to some degree, because if you look at these studios that did go down, right? Redfall, it was Redfall, it crashed.
Right.
Hi-Fi Rush, yeah, a lot of people have really liked it, but it hasn't put up any kind of like actual numbers on like sales.
Yeah,
Um, and I'm not even sure if it made money on based on its budget.
it was rumored
Um,
to come to PlayStation though, so I mean, it was one of the games that was supposed to be rumored to be coming to PlayStation.
but yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think
Hey,
this
Wraith.
probably is money talking mostly. And I mean, yeah, the live service thing is also that's the things that like every single company is really just trying to make a freaking a live service that's going to be their big bread and butter, their GTA 5, Fortnite, and it kind of
Yeah,
sucks.
the comment when I was watching that YouTube video, she made this comment of like live service games are where companies want to go because making a video game in general is a risk, right? Whether you make a single player experience or you make a live, that live experience, it doesn't matter. They're both risks, but companies are more willing to make risks that might profit them 5 to 10 fold over time because they can just keep adding things to it versus doing a one-off game. You're still gonna have companies that are gonna do your one-off games, right? And it's just like how their bread and butter is, and like it's still gonna be very popular, but they're never gonna make nearly as much money as like a Helldivers or something like that, where they're just every war bond $10, right? $10 every war bond, right? It definitely promotes spending money in the long run. And we've talked about this before. I'm not a huge fan of microtransactioning people to death, nickel and diming them. But it's the nature of business, right? People's money will speak to how businesses will continue to do work. Your Honkai Star Rails, those games pull in so much money. They make them free to play, but then they nickel and dime you on the backside to get new roles and new everything. And we're seeing these gotcha games all over the place. So it's showing developers that this is the way that people want things.
Yeah, I mean, like I think they're not necessarily the way people are actually wanting things. I think they're just tolerating it.
Yeah.
Is more so. Because I mean, like besides speaking of like Honkai Star Rail and I can't think of their other one, the other MiHoYo game. But the it, like it's making they're like the most profitable games on the market because it's slots. It's slots with anime girls attached.
It's true.
Yeah, I mean, so it does have some interesting and decent gameplay attached. They do also have decent story attached. So at the end of the day, it is always a good game is going to make money. Period. Um, it doesn't matter if it's a live service or a single launch. Like if Helldivers wasn't live service, if it was just a launch of a game, it still would have been amazing.
Yeah. Genshin Impact was the game you were thinking of.
Yeah, Genshin Impact, yeah. But if they just if you just release if they just released a good game, it's for a kind of cheap price. You're gonna make tons, but that's like the whole thing we've been talking about for so long, right? We're looking at all of these developers that are like groups of like 2, 3, 4, 5. They're the ones who've been pulling in all of the money in the last like 2 years. almost 3 years at this point. I mean, besides MiHoYo with freaking Honkai and Genshin, that's just gambling addicts giving all their money.
That's really true. So true.
But I think everyone is yelling, is like screaming at these game developers, and the game developers just won't listen.
And I think that ties into one of our other stories, which is that EA, the community has kind of blasted EA for this live service focus, right? They kind of came out and said, hey, we're really only going to be making live service games. Now, to be fair, most of EA's games, or at least half of their catalog, has been live service games. All of the sports games are live service games. They update with the new rosters every year. They have all these things you can buy with microtransaction and all this stuff, and they continue to add stuff with seasons and holidays and everything else. Like, they're very much could be considered live service games. Gambas, Pog, yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, FIFA also has the Gambas going on too.
Yeah,
like
FIFA has the Gambas as well. Like, that's been a big thing that we saw for a while on TikTok, where it was like people showing off their gold star Gambas or whatever. Like, it's definitely been a big thing. I know that Wraith's favorite game of all time, Destiny 2, had a lot of that, constant pay to play kind of a deal where you buy into things that give you, some stuff. And
I mean, it got massively slammed for it and called like the greediest game on the market.
It's true.
I don't think it's the greediest game on the market, but it's close.
Often, yeah, still is like that. Yeah, it often does get that. Those words often do get banned in Wraith streams because of back when I played Destiny. But yeah, so I think we're still gonna see some of our, some of the great developers still making great single player games. I think you're still gonna get things like Horizon and whatnot. It's just one of those things that we expect to see. But I think we're gonna come to a turn where a lot of developers and a lot of publishers want to make these live service games and be able to do something that's more long term.
I kind of want to argue the opposite, because I think what we're seeing, I think we're going to be seeing Sony go Microsoft route, buy a couple larger studios, and we're going to see a conglomeration of we're going to have the tech giant monopolization of the gaming sphere, and all of these major companies. We got EA. Microsoft now has Activision, Blizzard, Bethesda, and then Sony's going to pick up. I don't even know who the fuck is left. And all of these big developers are just going to, and producers, publishers are just going to push live service. And all of the great single player games we're going to be getting are going to be like dev teams of like 12 people kind of thing. I mean, like I think Square, I almost said Squaresoft instead of Square Enix. Man, they haven't been Squaresoft in like a decade. But I think Square Enix is probably going to still be pushing single players, because that's like entirely what they're known for. But I know they're going under a restructure soon as well.
Yeah.
So I really think there's a couple things that scare me in the gaming sphere right now. And that's, I really think, like Sony and most of Microsoft just has so much money, but I just see all of these big game companies just combining all under one roof. You have a couple of small developers that push out games every now and then, and and the thing is, like, to think of like Larian Studios, small studio, From Software, small studio. Like, these are like they've put out those two studios have put out the best games probably of the last like decade.
Right.
You could argue they're small studios, especially compared to these giants that are getting bought up. And I think they're all we're gonna have two things happen. We're gonna have video game streaming services start taking up, and it's gonna be awesome because it's gonna be like Netflix. Right, everything's going to be available everywhere, and then Sony's going to create theirs, and then we're gonna get another one and another one, and that's gonna be great because it's good for it. There's gonna be competition. It's good for business, and then in 10 years, you're not gonna be able to play your video games in one-stop shop in any way, shape, or form. And it's gonna be I need 10 different subscriptions to play the video games I like to play.
So you made a comment about Sony buying another studio, and actually this last week they did buy another studio. I know I didn't post this, but they did buy another studio, Deviation Games, which is founded by two members of the old Call of Duty developers, have signed a deal with Sony for a new IP that they're working on. So they're working on an undisclosed new IP, and Jason Blundell, who originally founded Deviation Studios, is back on that team working with them. So they are officially with Sony to do some kind of new IP that they're going to be releasing. Yeah, I'm expecting to be PlayStation exclusive. But yeah.
Hold on, wait.
What's up?
I'm seeing it was shut down on March 9th.
The original studio. So it's a studio made of former they're calling it Deviation Games, but it's because it's formerly it was members formerly of Deviation Games, but it literally they formed the studio back with members from Deviation Games. They're calling it Deviation Games, but they have not officially released what the new name is.
The artists formerly known as Deviation. Got it.
Basically, yeah. So it's the headline is reportedly forms a studio with former Deviation game devs. So that's one that I think we can be excited about. But with this closing of these, to roll back to the Xbox, because this rolls into another story, with the closing of these studios, it does land for layoffs, and I think this becomes a bigger piece, right? Like what was disclosed as part of the agreement when Xbox took over. We've had this discussion before of like there are people who are going to the FCC and saying, hey, like here are jobs that are being shut down, and they told you that they weren't going to do that. Like the studios were going to stay as they were, and we're finding out that that's not the case. They're closing studios, they're laying off people. So it's interesting to see how the merger will all shake when everything's said and done. Even though it's happened.
I think these 4 studios were Bethesda studios specifically that they picked up with the Bethesda merger.
Sure.
Or sorry, not merger, but acquisition.
Sure.
So I'm not sure if that's going to hold in, but they did say that they're not done.
Right.
There's still more to come.
Definitely something to keep an eye on, right? So, but with that, another studio or another publisher is also doing some massive layoffs, and that's Square Enix. Square Enix is doing a massive exec shakeup, and they have said that there will be layoffs in the U.S. and European sections of the shakeup. So they said to kind of be prepared. It's preparing for layoffs amidst a heavy restructure. They haven't said how many. They haven't said which departments would be affected. But they did say that it looks like IT and the indie divisions are the areas that will be most affected by the layoffs. But the scale of the layoffs have not been confirmed.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, they are also they're citing 7 Rebirth and 16 not meeting expectations.
I think when those games come to other consoles, they'll be fine. Honestly, I think that's sort of the case, and it does sound like they're moving towards not doing exclusivity or limited time exclusivity because it's hurting their bottom line.
Yeah. I think it's kind of beyond that a little bit, because I mean, like if you look at like 16 was like I kind of hate to say this, but I think they need to move if they release another game. I think it shouldn't be Final Fantasy 17. I think like the big number might be a problem. And then on top for like people, and I know like 16 was designed for them to be like, hey, anyone can, like you don't need to play these other games. Come on, it's all new story, and they were
all
trying
new
to
battle
be
mechanics, all new.
Yeah, they were trying to be inclusive, but it shunted people who are Final Fantasy fans, and then it also because I think the big numbers scared off anyone who wanted to get into it.
Yeah.
So I really think that might have been a problem with 16. And I know for a fact that the exclusivity, yeah, it did hurt it. And I think the rebirth, I mean, it's a remake.
Right.
I think Demon
It is a
Souls did
remake.
really well, but like I don't think it
did nearly as well as it did when it first released.
yeah, I mean like that's the kind of thing. I think this, all that being said, it's getting to the point I'm trying to say. Oh, 16 was
I loved
was
16.
awesome.
I thought 16 was very well done, and it was a new breath of fresh air against the system.
I need to go replay it on the Give Me Final Fantasy mode or whatever it is called.
Yeah, the Final Fantasy mode. And they've got the add-on that, or the DLC that just dropped last month.
I haven't played either of the two DLCs, so I'm planning on doing all that together. I'm super excited for that. But
it went exactly where we thought it was going to go with
I think this problem is, so with that, they're expecting these things and not taking into account how they're excluding certain like fan groups, right? Yep. I think you can extrapolate that to all of tech right now, realistically, but all of the video game companies as well, because they had these massive booms in with COVID, right? Everyone's inside. Everybody just is starting to play video games. We have these we see the charts spike like we've never seen before, and we're post COVID now. You had explosive growth, more than you ever should. The industry is naturally growing, like what 10, like something like a 10%. Every year, annual over year, and then you have a 500% over like 2 years, and then they extrapolate. They think they're going to continue a 500% the next year, or maybe they're thinking they're going to extrapolate a still 10% after the COVID. No, they are, but they're not thinking that they already ate into the next like 10 years with that 500% boom explosion. Right. And I think expectations of all of these studios, I think of every corporate, every company actually, just period, is expecting that insane growth that we've seen from over the last like 5 years to continue, even though it's not, and they're biting off more than they can chew.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting to see, right? So like Sea of Thieves, and then there was another one from Xbox that came to PlayStation recently that have both done very well inside the PlayStation market. They're showing good like Xbox is showing good sales from PlayStation users. So I think we're gonna come to a point where like the exclusivity will be a very limited exclusivity, and then it'll pop over to the other console, but it'll be like probably like they don't want to lose grasp, right? Sea of Thieves has been out for a while, right? So it's like it's really late to the game to come to PlayStation and be showcased on PlayStation, where it would do well as a live service game to want to have more people together in the game, right? So you've got like Sea of Thieves allows you to multiplayer kind of open world style with other people on the ship, and so it's like you want to kind of capture while people are still playing that to get other gamers in like PlayStation in on the action. So I think we're going to be seeing, I think those use cases are going to be seen as very positive, and in efforts to being like, okay, well, now we're going to see PlayStation exclusive on PlayStation, but then after a short period of time they're going to go to PC and Xbox, and then they're going to get massive resales again on those consoles. And because I think that's the direction we're going.
I think they should. I'm not saying this is what the direction it's going to go, but I think we should move back to like they had a model going for a small period of time, like 2015, 2014, 2016, whatever, where they didn't have actual like console exclusive for the game, but they had exclusive content inside the game. Like I think Destiny 1 had a strike that was PlayStation exclusive. I think something else. what is it? Monster Hunter World, a game I've been playing a lot recently. That has a whole mission. It has 2 missions and a whole
Yeah.
weapon armor set that are all PlayStation exclusive. You can't get it even on the Xbox or the and D2. D2 also had a PlayStation exclusive. I don't remember that.
Yeah, they had PlayStation exclusivity. I think they had, what was it? Wasn't it like early access to the releases? Oh, thanks, Snugs.
I did play on D2. I remember. Oh, nice.
Yeah, I think it was an early access. If I remember correctly, it was early access.
Oh, and hell yeah.
Nice, congrats.
It was a strike and an exotic. I remember, yeah, there was this. Wasn't there a sniper that was exclusive to I think at least in D1. I think Icebreaker might have been exclusive to PlayStation. I'm not entirely certain. Or no,
Right.
maybe I don't remember. But I know there was a strike. I don't remember in D2 if there was or what it was in D2. I was right. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wraith, you and me should just sit and talk about Destiny at some point. I played so much D1. Yeah, I think that's a really good model they can continue doing if they want to try and push and drive people specifically towards certain console where to buy it on exclusive consoles.
Right.
And I mean that's something, especially like with the market moving in the direction I was saying. I think it will with the what's the word, streaming services, right? For it, they could be this service is exclusive instead of like a console bound exclusive.
Right.
And I think you also reduce the barrier to entry on that too, because especially like if it's just a streaming service, right? Like so say let's say Xbox Game Pass comes to PlayStation, is on the PlayStation 5. You own a PlayStation 5 and its streaming services, the Xbox Game Pass or PS Now. You can choose one to play a game, and you don't own Xbox Game Pass, but your favorite game, because we keep saying Destiny, even though personally, but let's say Destiny, let's say Destiny 3 or whatever Marathon, the new Marathon game is coming out. Let's say there's an Xbox exclusive on the new Marathon game coming out, and you have a PlayStation 5. You can get the Marathon game on PS5, but there's a free like really cool weapon on the Xbox version. If it's instead of buying a whole Xbox for $500, it's just a cheap like $15, $18 subscription. I could see that being more easily to get people into the door on the subscriptions.
Yeah.
And subscriptions are a whole other bag of worms. On like if you can get someone to give you a subscription, most likely they're going to continue subscribing even if they never use your service, which is so dumb and bad. Cancel your subscriptions, people.
Grounded was the other Xbox exclusive game that came to PlayStation. It also came to Switch.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I think it would be nice. I'm actually, because there was supposedly a conversation about getting a partnership between Nintendo and Xbox, and they were gonna do like an Xbox game, like the Xbox Live on Switch. That would be dope as hell. Like I would be all for that. That'd be super cool.
Well, especially if they did cloud
gaming services,
your cloud gaming services, because the Switch isn't that powerful. Oh, that's another thing. The Switch 2. I haven't even looked anything into it.
Yeah, there was a light announcement that it was coming really, really soon. They haven't really said anything else other than that.
Okay.
They've just announced that it's on its way.
Yeah, it hasn't had the hardware, but if they can partner with like Microsoft and the Game Pass for cloud gaming, I feel like that would be a really good instance for it.
We already know that they're cloud gaming, right? Because they're using like Kingdom Hearts came to the Switch as a cloud game. It was not a live game that you could play on the Switch. You had to have internet service to play it. It was cloud oriented. So
I don't
we
know
know
why
that
it's
they
not like
can.
there was like anything in the game. I'm sorry.
I mean, if that tells you the capacity of that console, that they can't even play something like Kingdom Hearts 1 by itself, or Kingdom Hearts Run, I guess it was the
Three?
remix. Yeah.
Oh, the remakes 1.5,
The
2.5.
remakes. Yeah, the 1.5s. So they couldn't do the upscale. Had to be clouded in. And I think Oblivion was the same way. Skyrim, you can't play Skyrim on the console. You have to do it through cloud services. So, you know, it wouldn't be far-fetched for them to just get Xbox Live and do cloud gaming. That would be that. We're already halfway there. I'm still waiting for Nintendo to, or for Sony to release an app to be able to play their stream games on a mobile device.
I mean, they already have like the application, right? They already have PS Now. They've already like tried to create. They have like remote play as an application. They've already tried to create like these types of systems. They just have to. They just have to look around the room, like look around the room, and be like, oh hey, that technology is actually working.
Already be doing it, yeah. I do not own an Xbox, but I do have Xbox Live, their ultimate version, because I can Bluetooth a controller to my tablet and stream 99% of the games that are on cloud with no issues at all.
Yeah, I am both happy and excited, and I think that's cool, and I both hate it at the same time.
I do. I hate it as well. It is nice being able to have the physical copy of games. You know, that old feeling of physical copy.
Nothing.
Yeah, and we're getting to a point where you will own nothing. That is coming very, very soon.
Yes. Go buy your 1984.
Yeah, no kidding.
Sorry, I cut you off. But yeah, so yes. Switch 2, it was just like a hey, we're thinking we're going to be announcing it soon.
Yeah, they're kind of on the precipice of announcing it, and it's coming at a bad time, right? So, in my opinion, Switch 2 needed to be the Switch. It needed to come out as the Switch. So the power of it, they're so far behind, it's not even funny. And I know that they're tagging a different audience, but like, you're kind of forcing people's hands to buy two consoles between like buying the Switch and buying a next gen console, which I would consider to be Xbox and PlayStation.
Well, I mean, Switch, Nintendo has always acted on a separate market.
Yeah.
It's always tried to function almost on a complete separate market of just Nintendo exclusives, right? Because you can't play Mario, Kirby. A lot of times you can play Sonic, but a lot of times you can't. Although, does Nintendo own Atari now? I think they do.
I think so.
But like Zelda, right? They functioned on. They have completely functioned on exclusivity through their entire lifespan.
Please give me a Ocarina of Time remake. Please, can I just get Ocarina of Time as a remake and Twilight Princess as a remake, please? That's all I want.
Hey, there's that GameCube. There's that GameCube emulator coming to the phone. Just use that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I love. Yeah, I think it would be great if they could do it in like Switch graphics, make it better, or just make it really, really nice looking. Twilight Princess would look great in like Breath of the Wild style, like that graphical style. I think it would look amazing. It'd be great to see something like that come through. These are all like would love to haves, right? I mean, yeah, big chef's kiss, yeah, for sure, 100%. And then I also never got a chance to play Wind Waker because my Wind Waker copy died when I was trying to play it on the Wii. So I, love to see some Wind Waker in there as well because Wind Waker is very good as well. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to be upset at the way the Nintendo's been functioning, right? It's got great exclusives. It's hard to like justify wanting to buy two consoles when the consoles release, right? So it's just it doesn't we're at a point where it's like they're so far behind graphically that it really kind of forces your hand to pay for two consoles.
I mean, they've been trying to force us to buy 3 with the Xbox as well, but Xbox kind of fell behind on that.
Xbox kind of fell behind on that. That was just kind of their fault.
Yeah.
And with the fact that most of their stuff can be done via cloud, it's not even worth buying a console anymore. Yeah. Let's see if there's anything else. You had mentioned the Donkey release.
Oh yeah, so I saw something about the I've watched a couple people play the new Donkeys game. It's called like Animal something.
Animal Well.
Yeah, Animal Well. It's kind of like a kind of goofy, kind of like horror kind of game. And I think it's pretty cheap. Let me see.
PlayStation, I think it's free.
Yeah.
You can play it if you've got an extended PlayStation Plus account. You can play it for free.
Yeah, on Steam it's 10% off right now. It's $23. Normally 25. Overwhelmingly positive. 4,000 reviews. It looks really cool and really interesting. I believe it's a platformer, like puzzle solver. Quite a bit. It's It has a really cool feel to it. It feels like an older game. Sorry.
It's got that Metrovania movement style where it's like screen to screen.
Mm-hmm. It has a really cool aesthetic. I definitely think I'm going to try and play it. Although you said it's free on PlayStation, so I'll probably have to try and pick it up there.
Yeah, if you've got premium, it's free.
I don't know if I do. I know I have PlayStation PS Plus, but
well, that's the other thing. I want Donkey Kong 64 for the 64 emulator or a remake of Donkey Kong 64. Sorry. Arguably one of the best Donkey Kong games of all time.
I don't know. I got nothing to say about anything Nintendo. Like old games.
Yeah. I'm just that's my bread and butter age group is the N64.
Oh, I just didn't. I had a PS1. I didn't play a Nintendo game until I played Super Mario Bros. When I was 16. Was the first time I ever played anything Nintendo, and then I played Ocarina of Time about the same time because I borrowed off a friend, and then I also played Twilight Princess directly after.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, I don't think I have anything else for today. I think we picked up most of the news. There's been, some small stuff kind of out there that's kind of there's been a lot of anime news, man. That's been crazy too. Some big anime releases coming this near.
Demon Slayer just released the first episode of the new season.
Yep. My Hero's on its second episode of the newest season.
I might go back and watch.
Looks like Doom.
My Hero when it's all over.
Bethesda just trademarked a potential Doom release. Other than that, hasn't really been a lot of stuff coming out or stuff being talked about.
Monster Hunter Wilds isn't out until 2025.
But yeah, what have you been playing the last little bit?
So I don't remember what I was playing. I was doing my Elden Ring playthrough, and I was doing a dagger only playthrough, and we during stream just started talking about Monster Hunter for like a couple. I think I brought it up in like an argument I was having, And so like in chat, and then we just started talking about Monster Hunter, and so then I loaded up Monster Hunter World and ended up playing that, and then started talking with chat about how people in chat had it for the PC.
Yep.
And my friend Pedro, our friend Pedro, I should say actually now, since you actually do know him now, well, you've known him for a while now. But he also had it for PC. We've been kind of wanting to play it on and off all the time, but it's never took the step forward. And then we restarted, and about 2 weeks in now, just got to end game. I gotta finish making some actually decent builds and like augment weapons, and then I can start trying to do the final 2 bosses of the game, Elatrion and Fatalis. Not quite there yet.
Oh, and I apologize. The other big news that I meant to make a mention of is Assassin's Creed Red title is now been changed to Assassin's Creed Shadows, and it will be taking place in Japan. I will be getting this game. 100% will be getting this game. Ninja. Anyways, but yeah. So you play a little bit of Hades 2 as well, just a little bit.
Yeah. So I didn't play it. I didn't play it the day it released because I didn't have time to download it. I played it the next day. It was that was really fun. I beat the first boss, was where I ended. I could definitely get back into it. I like Hades as a kind of to-go game.
Yeah.
Very much like when I play Hades, it's when I'm traveling for work, and I'll play it on my Switch. I have it on the PC, but I'll mostly just play it on my Switch.
Yeah.
But I think especially once it comes to the Switch, I think because of that same reason I have right there, I think it's gonna boom. Although a lot of people are swapping over to like Asus Ally and stuff like that. Ooh, that's a big one. Did you hear about the Asus Ally news? Asus is getting fucking slammed. Gamers Nexus did a like secret shopper thing on them for their customer service, and it is bad. So they started getting a lot of they started being a lot of reports about how people would send in their Asus Ally for like a small little problem, and then Asus would then hold their ally hostage unless they paid them like hundreds of dollars.
Oh, okay.
So it happened with Gamers Nexus. They had so it's known that the ally has some controller problems, and it has a memory problem. Their SD drive, SD card drive was a little messed up, or not drive, but their SD card was a little messed up. Slot was messed up, and their joysticks were messed up. So they sent it in as a secret shopper kind of thing, and then immediately got back, oh hey, there's customer damage on this. You voided your warranty, and you need to pay us $300 before we do any work. Even though the joysticks and the SD card were added to their warranty because they're known problems from the manufacturing of the Ally. The customer damage was a small dent on the case, and they then said that because that small dent on the case, they had to replace the screen, the LCD screen, even though it worked, or LED screen, it worked perfectly fine, and it could be completely fine, no problem at all. They just sent them like, no, you need to pay for this, and we're not before we move forward with any work at all. And they had to jump. Yeah, they had it was like a week of going back and forth and talking to them and being like, no, just fix the in warranty issues. Don't try and do anything else. I'm not trying to pay money. And multiple times going back and forth before they finally got that to work out.
Interesting.
But yeah, that was there's been multiple reported issues on it, and now a reputable source, Gamers Nexus, has proven it with a secret shoppers event that they have been like actively being anti-consumer and like holding allies hostage.
Jeez. That's not gonna look good for Asus. So I've been playing. I played a game called Chasm, which is a Metrovania style. So the way it works is like the major points of the game are the same on every map, but then the spots between, so the connectors between, are procedurally generated based upon the seed. So it changes how the game is played, like what enemies you face and like how you get from point A to point B. It was super fun. I actually thoroughly enjoyed it. The concept of the game was really, really good. And the gameplay was really fun and not overly challenging. But it was like challenging enough that it, it made it worthwhile to play. So I played that for probably, 4 or 5 days. That was really, really good. I got back into the Phoenix Wright series. So I was playing some Great Ace Attorney for a little bit, which is objection. The Great Ace Attorney games, if you haven't played them, are very, very good. It's a little bit of a different spin on the game. They did a couple of different things, which was kind of cool. You have your first case is like a very traditional, like what you're used to from the Phoenix Wright series, and then your next thing is like an investigation on a boat, and then your ones after that are you're in like olden Europe. In London, and they utilize a jury, and you have to try to like bend the jury to your side to help the case. It was really good. It's been good so far. I'm going through the first game. I'm on the last case on the first game before we move into the second and third game. And then I've been playing a ton of Final Fantasy Crisis Core, doing level ups offline, but that's my stream game. It's a game we've been playing on stream. After Crisis Core is done, we'll move on to Remake. So we'll get a good playthrough of that. PlayStation just released two. I am...
You're bringing up one of my favorite games. We need to start talking about Crisis.
Sure. Well, I am at the beginning of chapter 10, so I'm inside the prison lab.
Okay.
I haven't fought the behemoth yet. I'm working my way around to get to the behemoth.
I think if I remember correctly, you're getting pretty close to the end.
I think there's only 10 chapters in the game, so I think I'm nearing the end.
Yeah, part 10 is the last chapter.
Yeah, so I am at the point of no return. I can do missions, but I can't like go back to Shinra headquarters.
Oh yeah, so you're in the depths of judgment right now? Is what you said?
Yeah, I'm in like the cave prison-y area.
Yeah, there's a couple of really, really good bosses here. And then I'm gonna need to make sure. Oh, and there's a couple cool puzzles too. I forgot about that. I'm gonna need to make sure and be there when you finish the game. The final fight is just it's so good.
Okay. Yeah, so we're getting close. We're getting close. I've been doing some offline leveling. I'll probably do some more tomorrow afternoon before I get on to stream. I'm at like 45 or something, 46, level 46. Mm-hmm. I've been using the 2000 or the 1000 army to level up because it gives me like 5 or 6 level ups every time I do it.
Yeah,
I didn't level up a lot of my materia, which is really good. So, but yeah, I've been doing that. We did Tunic because I've been playing Tunic because Tunic was the free game. That's been super fun. Again, this is the second time playing through Tunic. I played it on Xbox cloud gaming a while ago. Just being able to play through that again. If you've never played, it's like a top-down Zelda style with puzzles. Super fun. It's the free game for PlayStation this month for the base level. Definitely worth a playthrough. It's got some Souls-like stuff. So you've got dodge and there's no parry, but there's it's like a lot of dodge mechanic, and if you die, it drops all of the currency that you're holding, and you have to go back and pick it up. So there's some Souls-like stuff on it. It's not. I wouldn't consider it to be a Souls-like though. I don't think it's unbearably hard. But yeah, it's a fun little top-down game. And that's really been about it. Been watching a lot of anime. I finished up Tokyo Ghoul. I know that's not a that's not an anime of your choice, but it was good. I thought it was really, really good. Been watching some Kaiju number 8. That's been really good as well.
I've been meaning to watch it, but I heard it like fell off. Like people are already like trying to like are like calling it quits on it after like episode 5 or something like that.
I don't know. I mean, it's only at episode 5, so I mean, I'm interested to see what this week has for an episode, if it's gonna stick with me or not. New My Hero has been coming out, and I just finished the 3rd season of Demon Slayer, so I'm excited for season 4 to kick through.
Yep. First episode already out. I need to go. Me and the spouse missed it this weekend, so we're gonna be watching it on Thursday night probably, if not Friday. Super excited for that. Also super excited. I don't know, like this is a really controversial anime. I really like it, especially going into season 2. Is Mushoku Tensei. I 100% agree, and all the reasons why people are like bounce off of it, because it's, if you don't know the premise of it, it's 30-year-old dude shut in because of bullying and he's a hikikomori in Japan. Gets kicked out of his parents' house after they die in a car crash by his brothers. Becomes homeless like the same day. Gets hit in a car crash. Reincarnates in a new world. It is an isekai, and there are some isekai tropes, but the main thing that like you kind of like, a lot of people who are very much Mushoku fans have to try and tell people who want to get into it, the reason why there's isekai tropes is because it came from this. Mushoku is the grandfather of isekai. It was the #1 web novel when isekais were booming. All the other isekais stole from Mushoku, and it does a lot of the things right. One thing it does wrong is that because he's a 30-year-old man in a baby, he's kind of fucked up in the head already. He's a little too sexual as a small child. And
as every isekai sometimes often gets around to.
Yes, 100%. It's kind of bad. That is something you have to push past. Cause one of the big things about it though is that like if you watch, it's the whole story is about him having a second chance at life, and he starts still the fucked up hikikomori, unable to get past things as a baby, and it's him growing in his new life, and it's him overcoming things, and he has a lot of character growth. And season 2 has next to none, like it has very little fan service, like at all. Plus he's an adult at this point. Well, he's pretty much an adult at this point, I think. And there's still like very, very few little fan service. So the anime after season 1, it really grew up in things, which is really good. A lot of people bounced off season 2 because it's all slice of life so far.
Yeah,
but it's good slice of life. But
yeah,
the reason why I was talking about all this is because I'm super excited, because the next episode we're getting into the combat. We're going back into battle manga, baby.
Nice.
Super excited for it.
That'll be good. But yeah, I think that'll wrap up today's episode. Thank you guys for tuning in again. Yeah, we'll be back again in a couple weeks when we bring things back up and start talking about the news again. And and as always, tonight is a podcast night, so we will not be reading out. So we will be ending tonight's stream. Thank you guys for coming, and we will see you guys on the next one.